and welcome back, my Dungaree family. I am so excited to be making videos again. I finally have a spot of time with Kasia being 9 going on 10 weeks, and she's giving me a little bit more space in between. So let's see how this goes. I thought I'd talk about outer beauty and finding ways to please our husbands with our appearance. I think there is some lack of clarity in the church or in some teachings about beauty from a biblical perspective. That's why I thought I'd address it, especially now that I've come out of the pregnancy phase and the postpartum phase, which can be especially trying in terms of beautification, and it's something I've struggled with as well. So it's very much a topic I am addressing for myself as well. So I will pull from all those common verses about beauty being vain and pleasing our husbands, loving our husbands, and see how those two things go together. And what is the baseline of being beautiful for your husband? Is it the same for everybody? So let's discuss how we can transition gracefully from season to season in our lives in a way that is visually pleasing to our husbands and practical as well, but without putting heavy burdens on ourselves about having to meet a standard that's not at all practical or intended for whatever phase of life you're in, as a mother especially. So let's see what that's all about, shall we? First of all, I don't want you to be discouraged. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed or as if this is just such a difficult subject and there's no hope for you. Because trust me, I've been there. I often feel, especially during this whole postpartum phase, it's so overwhelming to be looking at your body and just feeling like it's a mess and it's never going to come right again. And then, maybe you're going through a different phase in your life where you don't feel especially pretty or beautiful for some or other reason. And it happens. It's a difficult struggle, I know. So the whole point of this video for me is to encourage you and just to refocus the point of beauty and the point of being beautiful for your husband especially. What does it mean? We have so much media around us that's defining beauty for us. And I know there's this push against, being super skinny now and all that type of thing. I'm not really going to talk about that. I'm going to talk specifically from a biblical perspective, why our husbands appreciate beauty and what the function of beauty is. Essentially, this is about loving our husbands more. There is a thunderstorm outside right now, so if you hear rain and rumbles, that is this glorious sound of a thunderstorm. I absolutely love it. So I hope the sound's going to be alright for this video. 1 Corinthians 7 talks about being married and unmarried. That famous chapter about how it is so much better to not marry if you're a Christian because you can spread the word of God better and faster and more effectively. And that married people are distracted with each other and raising their family, so it's more inward focused. So 1 Corinthians 7 verse 32 to 34. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried cares for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he that is married cares for the things of the world, how he may please his wife. There is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married cares for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. So he makes it very clear that when you're married, your first priority is your spouse. That is your neighbor. That is your closest neighbor that God expects you to love. It's not wrong to have a spouse that you love and focus on primarily, who's going to take most of your time. There's nothing wrong with it. That is your duty and your calling if you are married, and that's what God expects of you. What are the things of this world we're going to care about? We're going to care about practical things. We're going to care about meeting each other's needs, each other's emotional needs, each other's practical needs, each other's sexual needs. These are things of the world. And It has no eternal fruit, so to speak, because, it's not mission work. We're not converting people. Do you want to be on the camera? Okay, you'll be in the video then. So Proverbs 31 talks about beauty being vain and charm being deceitful. And I think sometimes when we don't feel motivated as wives to dress up for our husbands or to be pretty for them, we use that verse as a way to excuse ourselves. I honestly don't believe that's what the verse means or what it's intended for. When the Bible says beauty is vain, it's talking to us ladies about being puffed up with vanity because of beauty or taking pride in our looks. And Proverbs 31 is saying that is not a woman who fears the Lord. A woman who fears the Lord is not proud and vain. But on the other hand, a woman who fears the Lord will honor her husband by dressing up for him and looking good for him. So it really does come down to your heart and why you are beautifying yourself. It is without a doubt that every man appreciates a beautiful woman. And of course, we know all men have different tastes. Men have different preferences in terms of what kind of woman they find beautiful, what kind of look appeals to them. And that is what our job as wives is to do, to find out what they prefer, what they like, and to do our best to live up to that desire and to meet those desires. And I'm not saying to try and be an entirely different person, because he married you. He obviously was attracted to you. So he just wants you to dress yourself and present yourself in the way that enhances you, that enhances your beauty and reflects your person and what he finds attractive about you. So having said that, I'm not at all placing physical beauty over inner beauty. Inner beauty is the most important and the most telling and the most effective way to your husband's heart. But I would be amiss to not point out that beauty is something God created. God made beauty for a function. It actually has a very practical purpose. One of it is the beauty he gives to a woman being there to attract a man. The physical beauty is very much there to catch the man's eye. You would do well to maintain a certain degree of being well groomed, choosing a wardrobe that looks good on you, and just being attentive to what he likes and doesn't like. This is how, just one of the many, many ways we can express love towards our husbands. But not only love, also honor. When a woman turns herself out well, when she presents herself well, she's honoring her husband. She shows the world and her husband that she is in a good state, that she is well cared for. She has a good attitude towards life because she puts in a little bit of effort. A little bit of effort in everything pays off always. So when you do that, you're showing that you care, you're living to a slightly higher standard than just walking around in tracksuits and just not caring. I'm definitely not talking about being extravagant or dressing to catch attention. The way worldly fashion is handled, it's always aimed at catching attention and drawing attention to yourself. That I don't believe is good. It's basically immodest, actually. It's immodest for a woman to dress in a way that shouts and screams for attention. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something that makes you look lovely, and when you smile at your husband, he sees a woman beautifully dressed or gracefully dressed, tastefully dressed, welcoming him with a lovely smile. That's just a simple joy of life, and something that God designed and he intended, that we embody something beautiful and lovely in our husbands' lives, even as far as looks go. And it's always interesting to me how my husband is encouraged by that. When he looks at me and he sees me well dressed or just looking cute or pretty, he is encouraged by it. He might be having a bad day, but it just gives him a little bit of something to acknowledge that is good in his life, and it's just a visible sign of something good in his life, and it's encouraging to him. So this is just one of those many tools we have that God's just naturally given us to encourage our husbands. When I say I don't want you to be discouraged, it's because you are a woman. You have all the necessary parts that your husband finds attractive just by virtue of being a woman. You have a woman's body. That is really all you need to be attractive to your husband. But to dress up your feminine body in a way that is enhanced for your husband is signaling to him that you're available to him, you like him, you want to keep the attraction going. And that's all part of God's design. So don't miss out on that, and don't feel as if you've reached a point in your life where it's not worth trying anymore, it's not worth putting the effort in. Even if you're getting old and a little wrinkly or a little saggy, it's still worth it. It's still worth putting in that little bit of effort. Absolutely. As you go through all the phases, especially postpartum, you have to change the way you dress. You have to dress in a way that tucks in your stomach, wear something high-waisted and button down so you can breastfeed easily. It's a challenge. It's not 100% easy. You need to apply your mind to it and think practically how to beautify at the same time. Okay, now it's really pouring. I hope you can hear me. If you do feel overwhelmed about being beautiful and you feel it's not worth it, or you just feel hopeless about the whole thing, pray about it, bring it to the Lord. He cares about these things. He cares about where we're at and how we're feeling about things, even though, it might seem like a silly thing. I bring these things to the Lord, and He really does help me. He fixes my heart. He changes my heart. He changes the way I see things in such a way that I am able to stand up and say, there is something I can do about this. And He sometimes gives me ideas. Be confident, be bold, come to Him with your request or with your problem, and wait to see how He transforms you and gives you ideas. God bless you, and I'll catch you again with another video. Bye bye.